Hello, thanks for joining me for this week's yoga class. Today we're going to be working on our hips and hamstrings. I'm going to get straight into it, so lay down onto your back, grab a strap, keeping the left leg bent with the foot placed on the floor, lasso your right foot and start to straighten it up towards the sky. For the placement of the strap, try and have it a little bit closer to the heel than you maybe usually would. So what we're working on is pulling that leg down, encouraging the femur bone back into the hip socket. Don't worry if your leg won't go straight. That's absolutely normal. You can have a bend in the knee, or you can lower the angle of the straight leg, remembering to just work within the bounds of our bodies. Keep the right foot strongly flexed, pushing that heel towards the sky at the same time as pulling the hip socket down. Try to make sure that your shoulders aren't reaching forward towards your leg. We're not holding this for much longer, continuing with your deep breathing. Now transfer the strap into the right hand, letting the left hand rest on your left thigh. Turning the toes out and the heel in, start to open your leg out towards the side. Even if you're super flexible and you're able to get your foot to the floor, please don't. We want to work on the active poses here. We don't want to let the leg relax down. Using your left hand to make sure that your left hip is staying planted to the floor. Maybe slightly opening your left knee to the side, making sure that it's not rolling inwards. You can rest your right elbow down on the floor. That gives you a bit more stability. And just work on maybe pulling the leg slightly more towards the top of the mat, creating a bit more of a stretch through the groin, the lower back, the hips and the thighs. On your next exhale, start to bring the leg back up to center, letting go of the straps and letting your hands fall down to your sides. And just briefly point and flex through that foot. We're going to do just one brief bit of core work here. So reaching your fingertips forward, lift your head and chest off the floor, leaving a gap maybe the size of an orange between your chin and your chest, legs still up towards the sky. Maybe lift a little bit higher. Keep breathing. And exhale, release. Keep the right knee bent with the right foot on the floor and straighten out your left leg as much as you can towards the sky, pushing through the heel, pulling down through the hip, remembering that you can change the angle of the leg if this is too intense, or you can create more slack on your strap or towel or whatever you're using for this situation. Making sure that your hips are neutral, you don't have too much of an arch or a tilt in your pelvis. Your right knee isn't falling inwards towards the center line. And again, just making sure that you're remembering this isn't a static pose. We want movement here, a little bit of fidgeting, pulling your leg back and forward. And start to transfer the strap into your left hand, bringing your right hand to your right hip to keep your hip in place, turning the left toes out with the heel in, and letting the leg open out to the side, remembering not to let it rest down. Try and keep it off of the floor. If your right hip starts to roll up off the floor, then you've gone too far. Lift your leg up slightly. Maybe work on lifting the foot up towards the top of the mat just a little bit more, creating a little bit more opposition in your hip. And start to close the hip, bringing the leg back up to center. Dropping the strap, letting your hands fall down to your side, and just a couple of push and pulls through the foot and the heel, flexing and straightening. We're going to repeat that core work on this side. So start to lift your chest, head, neck up off the floor. Try and lift as many vertebrae off the floor as you can, reaching forwards, and exhale, roll down. Now keeping your left leg up in the air, bring your right foot up to join it, lasso both feet briefly, pulling them down towards you. Let the left foot fall down to the floor, and this time we're going to straighten it out. So on your next exhale, let the leg elongate and straighten out. We're going to keep that very strong flex through the foot on the floor. Maybe just lift it up off of the floor a couple of inches. So not only are you reaching up with your top leg, but you're reaching forward with your bottom leg. And exhale, release that foot down to the floor, keeping the flex of the feet. We're going to repeat everything that we did with the bent leg on the floor, but this time we're going to have our left leg nice and straight, maybe bringing the left hand to the left hip to make sure that it's pressing down into the floor, transferring the strap into the right hand, gently guiding the foot towards the top of the mat, breathing deeply. Then once again we're going to open the toes out, heel in, and let the right leg fall out towards the side, bringing the elbow down to the floor, remembering that if the left hip is coming off the floor, you've gone too far, then you need to lift the leg up. I want you to keep everything nice and active here, really strong flex through the feet, back and hips pressing down into the floor, gently pulling the foot towards the head of the mat. Now slowly start to let the leg come up towards center, still keeping that foot flexed, letting go of the strap, letting it hang over your feet, bringing your arms down towards the side. And we're going to lift ourselves back up into that core work. Fingertips forward, head and chest off the floor, just crunching those abs towards your thigh. See if you can bring it just a millimeter more and relax down. Keeping your right leg up, bring your left leg up to join it. Briefly pull your feet towards your head. And bring your right leg down towards the floor, keeping the feet flexed, left leg up towards the sky. Maybe lifting the right foot off the floor a couple of inches, really activating your core and your hips, pushing out through the heels of both feet in opposing directions. If you haven't already, let the right foot fall out to the floor. Gently pulsing the left leg towards your face, either with the knee bent or straight. Transfer the strap into the left hand. Bring your right hand to your hip to encourage it to press towards the floor. Turning the left toes out, right, left heel in. Let the leg start to open out towards the left hand side. If it helps here, you can clasp the side of your mat with your right hand. This will help you to anchor your hip down. Gently encouraging the foot, maybe just an inch or two higher than you think you can go, remembering to stop if there's any pain, keeping the whole body long and active. Start to close the hip back up, bringing the left foot towards the sky. Briefly pulling the strap down, just an extra stretch on the hamstrings before you let go. Repeating that core building move on the left hand side, fingertips forward, lifting your head and neck off the floor. Just push yourself forward, see how far you can go, but just make sure you keep breathing here. You can lift your right foot for a little bit of added strength, otherwise just let it fall to the floor, keeping it nice and flexed. And exhale, release down. Bring your right foot back up, place it into the strap with the left, and wrapping the strap around the hands, just start to pull the feet towards your face while simultaneously pushing the heels up towards the sky. Focusing on the inside of the foot pressing up and the outside of the foot opening downwards. So you're lengthening the inner side of the legs. I'm going to do one more bit of core work with both legs up. Reach your hands forward and lift your head and chest. Exhale, release down. Release the feet. Put the strap out to the side. And just let your feet fall open. Relax and feel the difference in the hips after all of that work. This is really fantastic if you've been sitting at a desk all day. So make sure that you go and have a rest now after that. I'd recommend staying here for 5 to 10 minutes, or just as long as you can. I hope to see you next week. Thanks for joining me.